So why in Cleveland, Ohio, right around the corner from this place where people are going to need housing based on polluted land.
So sounds like create the problem, provide the solution.
That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. That's how they fucking get you.
Bigs and Bogs.
Minnesotian.
Oh, hey guys, welcome back to your feature handle, Biggs and Boggs. I'm Marty Boggs.
And I'm Julian Biggs.
And we got Spencer on sound and screens. Thanks for joining us today, folks. We like to come at you about once a week or so and talk about some subjects that we do believe will benefit your future hand. This is some quality Canadian crypto content, so smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get right into it. What are we up to today, and how can we plan for tomorrow? Julian.
Thanks, Marty. Good to be back. We're going to talk about distractions or everything, the psychology again. We're going to talk about the 15-minute city possibly coming to Cleveland, Ohio, and how that ties into possibly crypto and some digital identity things. We're going to talk about low household savings numbers, big change in the last few years. But first, as always, a markets go.
Markets go.
Okay, so we are looking at Bitcoin versus US dollar chart on the daily time frame. I've got it zoomed out a bit here. This was the double bottom right at the end of 2022 with the reversal basically just January 1st here. So this triangle pattern, we've been playing in this zone here for the entirety of 2023 already. And in my opinion, this is one move that could potentially still have one more high. And just as we sat down here today, we have this chart bouncing off this triangle perfectly, and a big move at the time of filming this video, $23,500 after hitting a low of $22,680. So this looks good to me. This
Really good. It looks like a perfect little breakout retest.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect.
And so if I look at this as one full move made by the market makers here, we're now actually starting to form a bit of a pattern, which in my opinion is this triangle pattern so far. That looks good here.
Until we break out of it.
Until we break out of it. So we did hit the 38.2% fib level at 21,390. Perfectly, we found support there and got back up. This is also the resistance line from 69K high. So that's another good thing to see. And then this bounce off the 23.6 at 22.8 yesterday. So I mean, yeah, I grabbed along from 22,788. I'm feeling pretty good about that today.
Been some good scalping out there too.
Yeah, the scalping's been unreal, but
we want to say one more thing, because remember we were talking a couple of weeks ago about the inverse head and shoulders playing out.
Yeah.
So even if we do make another high, we could still make a shoulder. Do you have a neckline, a potential neckline?
Well, I did that on the weekly. So if I go over to the weekly for a sec here,
right. Neckline
look
could
at
be
the brush, and if we look at this as a big head and shoulder here, then yeah, the neckline. This is a terrible drawing, and when you get out on the weekly, it just doesn't really hold there very well. But I mean, yeah.
Why is the other one so high?
Yeah, so I mean, we got the weekly close coming in here today. But I mean, really, this still could play out a head and shoulders pattern. Maybe it takes another week or so, but we're going to find out. So
that's the thing, is everything takes forever.
Yeah, but we are staying in this triangle for now, which is good to see. And even if we look at it on the weekly here, it's really not that bad. Like, I mean, it looks like a good, healthy move, right? I mean, the RSI is still well above 50%.
And we've just broken and bounced above that high volume node, which is nice. So we're heading for
like, you know, the slightest bearish divergence, but that's why we had this little bit of a pullback this week already, right?
Well,
so
of course, you can't go up in
a
straight
lot of
line.
these moves, typically we'll see 1, 2, 3 highs before coming back down to test the lows again, right? So I mean, testing the lows, that really means 15K again too, right? Or even at least the value area around 20 to 19K. So yeah,
Which I'm all for it.
but I'm going for the long shot here. I do think that the long shot chance of hitting 27K, like 20 to 27.8K, is in the realm of possibilities here next week before we see bearish price action.
Next week or next couple weeks? That looks like 3 weeks away.
No, this is only... Oh, sorry, that is 3 weeks away. You're right. 21 days.
Ish. So
Ish.
You know, it's the
But
it's the
the
weekly.
moves up have been really fast too. So I
Yes.
mean, look at this. This one candle was the one that bounced us from 21.4 all the way up to the high of 25.2. So, you know,
so we're gonna see a weekly close.
we're getting a
as it's bouncing.
nice bounce here off the fib level. And yeah, I mean, it looks good to me.
Yeah,
So
looks pretty good.
yeah,
pretty
we'll
good.
see though. I mean, things do
But
look
they're-
bearish. They've been leading it bearish on the
Exactly,
SPX.
they're leading it bearish. I mean, and like we said before, I think maybe if there is another correction or crash or whatever you want to call it, it's not coming like right away.
Right.
We're looking at like, a month or 2 months maybe.
Right.
Something's going to happen this year, obviously. Something always happens.
Right.
It
And
just
so
gets ridiculous.
if
It's
we-
getting worse every year.
It is getting worse every year, but we're literally watching a transfer of wealth go into digital money,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So there is literally maybe not a war, but there is a competition for the future of currency, basically, and Bitcoin is a part of that. 100%, it
Well,
is a
it's the
part
root.
of that, right? So, or it's the reason the competition started for sure, right? But we're gonna have CBDCs coming in like that. Plan is happening. The U.S. is already hiring people to do that. Like the next 2-3 years, we're not going to be using money as we know it now. Like
No.
as way it seems like.
That's why you have things like Simple and all this that
Right.
are bridging the gap.
Yeah, and
Right.
now MasterCard now onboarding crypto payments. You'll be able to pay directly with crypto
Yeah.
through your MasterCard.
The
too, and
bottom
Visa will
line
do
is
the
it just
same.
works so much better. And if anybody that's ever used it will tell you, like, why would you making transactions with the bank is so painful because somebody has to do something.
Right.
And people don't do shit these days.
Right.
They don't want to do shit. So you have to, unfortunately, we have to rely on a computer to do it for us. And that's how Bitcoin works. And all
Yeah.
cryptos, it's on computer confirmation codes or all that stuff, right? So
So I do want to look at the SPX.
it works when we don't want to.
So we did get the higher
That's how
high.
things are going.
So we did get the higher high.
Pretty obvious.
on the SPX too, the weekly. So from the high in December there. So we did create a new high. So what we're waiting for here, we're creating a higher low now, and we're basically at the 50% fib level of this move for the weekly chart on the SPX. So this is kind of do or die for them because the next move is down to about 3,900. So that's what we're waiting for this week as well. We are just underneath the 50% RSI level, but this is exactly what happened to Bitcoin. It dropped below its first trend line, bear trapped everybody, and then shot back up, right? So if this was a lagging indicator, then hopefully we'll see the same bear trap scenario and at least get another week or two of decent
But we
price
do
action.
have potential rate hikes coming, more rate hikes coming.
Oh, yeah.
Higher, like so 50,
Yeah.
right? So like as much as it looks good and we hope that it's going to go up, like realistically, we're going to go down a little bit more.
Oh yeah, like
Like we
it's
have, what do we have? We have low household savings, like all this stuff. Like
So the household savings numbers, yeah, I looked into that about, and that's kind of like more of a traditional finance indicator. But in 2020, when the pandemic, like when we flooded the economy
Yeah.
with money,
Yeah,
people's
exactly.
household savings went up to a number of about 30% or something.
yeah, because
like that.
realistically, pretty much everybody continued to work,
Right,
and
yeah.
got paid.
And got paid.
So
yeah.
it's like-
and now 3 years later, that number's down to 3%. And every time that number has gotten that low, it's been a good indicator for the markets reversing to a more
Well,
bearish
not a lot of people
structure.
have money to put aside
Yeah.
to put into this type of
And
stuff, right?
it's basically,
but that's exactly what they want.
And it's showing that basically the markets are overpriced too, right?
Yeah.
So
So people will take the whales will take profits, and then they will wait till the people have no money, and
Right.
and the markets go down, and everybody that needs their money to pay their bills, they start
Right.
selling low, right?
Right.
Because they have to pay their bills, and then the whales start scooping it up, right? Just like that.
Right. But I mean, this was a really strong bullish divergence on the SPX here too. So I just can't see them not taking at least another high. But I mean, I could be wrong. Could crash tomorrow. You never know, right? But
That's what they want you to think.
but I took along from 22,788, and I'm hopefully that holds up.
I haven't actually started DCAing into stocks yet.
I've thought about it, but the only thing with that is like maybe into some like
Well, there's
tech stocks or like micro strategies maybe, but like the thing is like we're watching them transfer wealth from their markets to the digital market.
Exactly.
and the
That's why I don't
crypto
really
market.
feel like going backwards. There's a couple
Right?
stocks that I wouldn't mind buying just for dividend returns and just have a
Yeah.
bit of money there, right? Because there is
Productive stocks are
exactly
always
there
gonna
is
be-
good productive stocks
Yeah.
and commodity stocks and stuff like that that
Definitely.
we will need and use. It's
Yeah.
worth it, but still, I'm just still not. I haven't seen. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm waiting too long, but I feel just like there's more lows coming just because of 2020 and how unbelievably ridiculous it was. If you go back and you look at the graphs for the last 20 years, you've got basically, an up and to the right, but then in 2019, 2020, 2021, it drastically fires up, right? So we
Right.
got to do, and then we have all the rate hikes coming. we have the Fed's job is to slow everything down. The Fed's job is to push these markets down, right?
Yeah.
So like I have reason to believe that they will do their job.
And they keep saying like they don't have inflation where they want it, so rate hikes are coming for sure. But most of them, and so far they've all been the predicted amount, the forecasted amount. And as long as we see forecasted numbers, these markets will have priced that in. And right now, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing been happening. Like, I mean, there's a lot of major things happening in the news, but there's been nothing major to impact these financial markets to the point where I feel like they're just going to crash right now. Now, I did think new lows were coming. Like, I thought that a $3,200 S&P 500 was on the table here. So, I mean, like, I do still have that circle there. There's a good potential for that, which would bring Bitcoin sub 20K. But I mean, we still have a bit left of Q1 here, and I just, spring's just around the corner.
Well, that's the thing too, is we're going to get, because we just got the numbers for Q4 and they were super bearish, right? Of course. But now, and in another month or a couple months, we're going to get the numbers for Q1. And then it's going to be like, okay, well, we're back to the, so anything could happen. Yeah. It's a tough fight when you're continuing to pump money into the system. It's hard to keep it down. So that's why it's obviously not going to work out in the long run, and why they can't stop Bitcoin, right? Like they're talking about, like maybe these other traditional markets will crash and stuff like that, but the people are going to put their money. Smart people are putting their money into Bitcoin. We're seeing it, because
and
that's why
limited supply. That's why it happens so fast right here, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not mom and pop. Like that's big money. Scented candles like that. Like this daily candle is a monster.
Yeah.
Right.
It takes a lot of money. I mean, I don't know, not a lot of money.
But it's like I'm also curious, like what would have happened if we didn't have the FTX collapse? Like if that was the last little FUD thing, you know what I mean, and they used that as the final push because they wanted to get it as low as possible.
Well, it probably just would have went straight across.
If that had not happened, this would have been our level, right? Yeah. So
straight across to where we ended up 3 months later.
To think that it's going to drop under that now, I just I don't know. I think everyone's hoping and waiting for 18, 16K again. But it's like, man, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't know if all these people are going to let go of all that Bitcoin they grabbed there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
right. Because they're searching for 70K.
Right.
At least.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. They're playing the long game, the big pattern, right? Yeah. The bigger pattern. If we even go to the bigger pattern, let's go out to the monthly and just look, right? Like this thing is just now, we'll see, because this looks like a spinning top candle to me. What happens here, right? Like this thing just broke trend after a year's downtrend, right?
And retested perfectly.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So it's like to think that it's just going to go all.
It's not going to fire up, but it's just going to continue to maintain that, bullish, 51% bullish structure or whatever, right? Like you're still gonna be able to go get shorts out of it.
And it's like this. It's funny. So I'm
not shorting anymore. I have a hard time shorting now.
Yeah, it's hard to short right now. I'm taking scalp shorts. I like these.
Just sit back and wait for the longs. They're way more profitable.
Put in here. So these fibs. So one fib is from the low to the high. The other's from the high to the low on the last downtrend that we had last year, and we've now trapped ourselves between the 38.2% fib level on both of those moves, which I find interesting. So this to me has kind of like this range between $20,742 and $27,381, in my opinion, is the fair value range.
Right. And we're low.
So we could just bounce around in this range here and trade sideways, which is great. But right now, you know what I mean? I don't really feel sub 20K is coming, but I could be wrong. I'm over hopeful and over bullish on Bitcoin though.
Well, I mean, it's logically and economically, tokenomically speaking, compared to everything we have. It's
funny because like people are like, well,
it's the best.
What if people get rich? And you know what I mean? Like people are getting rich and this and that or whatever. And it's like, how are people going to use it as a payment system? And if it loses value, you know what I mean? Like you got to think of it. If we start to use Bitcoin as a money system and as a payment system, because it can cross borders a hell of a lot easier than any other money can, right? You know what I mean? Like it can do anything that it wants. So if we have a system like that people are using, and so new innovators, new engineers are creating new things to change humanity as we progress and stuff like that, and their value goes into Bitcoin and grows as their business grows. We all grow, we all flourish and move on with this, right? So
and I don't think we use it as currency. I think you use it as, just like you say, that becomes your wealth, right? And you chip away, like the price will always move up and down a little bit because people are going to take profits to use them, right?
I think it'll be like
Or you
for a bit there, I
use
was
it,
thinking it was just going to be store value, but I have a feeling it's going to be,
or you use it as collateral because it's an
part.
asset
Yeah.
to borrow money against tax-free.
Which would be great.
Which
Yeah,
is the way to
tax-free
do it.
money,
If you
yeah.
borrow tax-free money
And,
just like you can on your house,
people-
well then there's a massive value for that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have 10 Bitcoin worth, 300,000 right now,
big
so I want
companies
to
do
borrow.
that too. Like if you
exactly,
got
right?
$100 billion, you're not going to spend your own cash, even
No.
though you could. You're going to borrow another $100 billion.
Yeah, you borrow money
Buy what you need to
tax-free.
do. Yeah, exactly.
Instead of spend your money and pay
Well,
taxes with it.
it's a tax write-off, and you borrowed the money at 0.5%.
Yeah.
For that amount or
yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you buy a bunch more.
Yeah, spending your own money is
Using
not a good
assets.
idea. So that's why if you have Bitcoin and we can use it as collateral to loan against, and that's the best thing to put your money into is Bitcoin.
Debt is what creates money in our system, and I don't think people understand that.
No.
Debt is
No.
what creates money. It's what creates wealth, right? The
Yeah,
fractional reserve lending, like that's how our system works.
Yeah,
right?
you got to live off borrowed money because it's
So-
tax-free. If you want to evade taxes and you hate taxes, then live off borrowed money. And you need assets to live off borrowed money. So you have to
That's why
have
there's 600 and some pages of tax code in the United States, and only 40 of them are dedicated to actually taxing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that means there's hundreds of pages of how to
Yeah.
can loopholes for businesses to evade taxes and shit. Right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. And it's designed for them and it works perfectly the way they designed it.
Yeah.
Perfectly. So I just wanted to talk about another thing here. What is this what's a 15-minute city?
Oh, the 15-minute city. Yeah. So 15-minute city, basically like what they're doing in Saudi Arabia, like the line. You know what I mean? That line city. Have you seen that?
I've seen a bit of it, yeah.
It's gonna house 9 million people, and you'll be able to get anywhere in that city and do anything that you need in 15 minutes.
Oh, that's where it comes from. Okay.
Right.
So it's so efficient.
So efficient, but to do that. So this was what I was talking about too, about how like people essentially are going to become tokens. We're going to become fucking NFTs. I don't think people realize how important NFTs
Well, we have a SIN number.
are going to become, right? Yeah, exactly.
Or your social security
You know what
number.
I mean? Like
Where
you're
you're
already
from.
digital.
Yeah.
You really already are digital. But if you live in one of these 15-minute cities and they start to track purchases and do all these things, like you're just going to be a fucking QR code. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you're going to be.
And it'll be able to, this QR code is performing very well.
Yeah, and data
one is not performing very well. Well, we might have to do
data
something
and
about that.
information. I don't fully understand it, but it's valuable.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's
So
becoming the most valuable
You're going to
thing.
become like a fucking tradable token, basically. You know what I mean?
I am a
As they
non-fungible.
develop these-
You cannot punch me.
And it's like, I don't like, we're just learning. This is our crypto journey. We are not financial advisors. We are on a crypto journey. We're sharing what works for us here, and it's working really well.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm 2 years into this now. This is coming into my second year. So it's like, there's a lot of things that are,
It's infinite.
it's infinite, and you're always learning, and my mind is always expanding, and it's just like, holy crap. But it's
Yeah.
like the more you dig in and the more you learn of where we are with technology, we are really in this paradigm shift
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where whether you understand it or think it's real or conspiracy or not, it's going to happen.
Well,
and
for
it's
me,
nuts.
it was like I'm glad I got into it because I got into it, and then once I was into it, I realized how the whole world worked.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and crypto was the door that got me into that.
crypto exposed it.
Exactly.
Right?
So then I was like, oh my goodness, like this
It's
is
like
nuts.
Crypto
So we do the podcast.
Crypto-
Trying to tell you. Just
Crypto-
like the video. Come on.
Crypto is the sheep shear. It gets the wool off your eyes, man. Like, it's crazy.
So you're going to be able to go anywhere you want in 15 minutes in one of these cities.
Yeah, so these cities. So Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio wants to be the first city in the United States to build a 15-minute city, which I find interesting because it's right down the road from where they've had this chemical spill. Or whatever it was, right? That's affected the air and polluted the ground and everything else.
Really?
And now the WEF is also writing in an agenda for their world government, and the U.S. government is going to implement this as well. If you live on polluted land, they'll be able to seize your land from you based on the ground readings or whatever the case.
You can't live
is.
here. It's not safe. So we're going to take that from you.
So in the name of safety, they're going to be able to seize your land.
They wouldn't even give you
Right?
face value for it. Like say.
Probably
Just
not.
Nothing. You get
probably
nothing.
not. You get nothing, but you probably will get an onboarding amount of CBDC and fucking some perks and shit like that to be like the first person. So why in Cleveland, Ohio, right around the corner from this place where people are going to need housing based
Really?
on polluted land.
So sounds like create the problem, provide the solution.
That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. That's how they fucking get you.
Again? Yeah. It got me again.
Got me again. right? So anyway, really interesting stuff. Distractions are everything. Lots of distractions. The UFOs, the BS. It is all distractions. The psychology, though, while you're distracted, they load their bags and make a bunch of money. So that's what we watch for. Big fat green cucumbers in the charts.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on.
Oh, I don't want to be
A
doing
lot of
that.
good stuff. Good day. Good episode.
So it's like, here's the bigger trend, right? Like, this is Bitcoin's entire existence.
We're back
And
to the charts.
We gotta, we'll go back to the charts. Fuck you guys, man.
Okay, finish your thought, Julian.
But like, we're now finally forming a pattern for the first time on the monthly chart, right? And people are playing the long game here. So, I mean, this is a higher
Yeah,
low.
when in doubt, zoom out.
Yeah, this is a higher low with a perfect bounce off the 50% fib level to keep going, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Hang
good.
in there.
Bigs and Pugs out, man. DCA all the way.
Catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Oh, man.
Quality Canadian crypto content. Quality Canadian crypto content. Quality Canadian crypto content. Quality Canadian crypto content. Quality.